welcome back to another video. Now over the last couple of weeks we've been looking at back to basics floral design, where we're revisiting all those basic fundamental rules of flower arranging, and I thought it would be nice this afternoon for us to see something a little bit different and use some seasonal flowers that are available at the moment in the various supermarkets and flower shops. Now I have quite a plain glass vase, and often when you're working with glass it's quite hard to hide your mechanics and your tape and what have you. So a good solution for that is to use one of these very heavy lead based pin holders, but instead of using it as a mechanic to hold your flowers, I'm using it as a base and a holder, I suppose is the word, for my floral foam. So what I'm going to do is just insert that there into the prongs, and because I'm going to go sideways with the design, hopefully, fingers crossed, the balance of the foam being held securely by that pin holder on the bottom will enable me to have lots of sideward movements rather than vertical placements. So fingers crossed, that works quite well there in the middle. Now at the moment the supermarkets are full of Gladioli, a very seasonal flower. You might have them in the garden. They are quite easy to grow from a comb, and if not, if you don't have them in the garden, then you can pop out to your local florist shop or to the supermarket and you can purchase some lovely flowers to use. And I've come out in a really vertical line with a cluster of the Gladioli together. So it's a little bit more of a contemporary style design. In traditional floral arranging you would probably echo that placement on the opposite side. And then I have in the studio these gorgeous pheasant, I keep calling them pheasant, these gorgeous peacock feathers which have that lovely arching shape, and I thought they would complement the style of the arranging and the shape of the arrangement by just quite attractively draping over there to one side. So it gives me a lovely little bit of soft movement in the arrangement and continues your eye out without the materials being too heavy and too dominant. And then I have a few little roses, and this one is called a Roselily. Now it's not generally seen a great deal in the supermarkets, but it's a double-headed lily and it has no pollen. So if you suffer from hay fever or you don't like the pollen marking your curtains and your tablecloth and what have you, then this gorgeous rose lily is one for you to have at home. Fantastic long-lasting flower, and I have some gorgeous foliages. This one is Ozothamnus and it's almost like a rosemary in its texture. And what I'm going to do with this one is bring it out here on the opposite side of the main cluster of Gladioli. A really lovely textural foliage. Now I'm not quite sure if this is available to grow in the UK. This one comes in from Ireland, comes in from as part of the Florist stock. There's a fantastic company in Ireland called the Irish Green Guys, and they grow it and have it brought over for use by UK florists. Gorgeous textural foliage, and when Christmas comes and I start doing all the Christmas wreath making workshops and I start making Christmas wreaths, this is a foliage that I use a lot to bring in that lovely grey colour in. Works really well with the lavender door wreaths that we do. And what I've done is I've created a focal section off onto one side, which will balance off that long placement with the gladioli and the feathers. And then I just brought a little bit of that colour combination through to the front as well. And a little bit of contrast. Same sort of colour tone, but a much different shape in the leaf. Is another foliage from the Irish green guys. This one is Eucalyptus. Huge big stem. And look how that angles over. Isn't that great? Now I don't need it in such big pieces, so we'll place that in, again in a cluster form, grouping it together, and we'll bring it through to the opposite side as well. Now it's always important to bring some actual weight to the back of the arrangement, otherwise it will fall over. And tip forward, and it's also important to bring a link of colour there through to the back as well. So we've got those nice big clusters of plant material. Just move those out the way so you can see more clearly. How's that doing? Now you could of course just continue a big cluster of the gladioli towards the centre. That would give you a really interesting design. But I'm lucky in that I have this lovely Roselily. And I'm hoping that I'm going to get that into this sort of focal point here towards the front. It's a fantastic colour link with my gladioli. And I've placed them in on two different levels. Isn't that lovely? Has a little bit of an Art Nouveau feel into it, I think. It's probably the Peacock Feathers and possibly the colour combination, but they work really well together. And now ideally I would have liked to have had some more of this lilac rose, but I've only got two left here in the studio. So they are going to act as a sort of colour link between where my gladioli stop and where those lilies start. Look at those, aren't they wonderful? Oh, I'm almost coordinated with my jumper as well. Of course that was planned. So just space them out a little bit so they're not too clustered together, not too close. So you can see each flower in its own right. Isn't that lovely? Now I've got quite a little bit of foam showing here, which we'll cover in just a second. I've also got, this of course is another type of eucalyptus, and I'm not quite sure how much of that you can see, but this is the dyed eucalyptus. We get this a lot in the autumn. And it has almost a sort of pinky vein running through the leaf. So we've just added that in again to create a little bit of movement towards the front and to make your eye travel forward. And just while you look at that front section there, I'll fill in a little bit of foliage towards the back. Now I don't have a great deal of the lily in the shop, so that's why we've only used one stem. If we had more available, we could bring that lily towards the back. But I was thinking that this is going to sit on a sideboard, so you're not really going to see the back of the arrangement. So as long as the floral foam is all covered, it's not really the end of the world if we don't have any flowers there towards the back. We've still got some actual weight, so the design isn't going to fall over. And I have all ready for the sort of Christmas collection that we've been designing this week. I have some of this lovely silver birch, and that is again going to help bring in another texture, another contrasting plant material, and it's a really good example of line. So we talk about line a lot in flower arranging and floristry, and that is a good example. And then I'm going to do the same and bring some back to the grey foliage that we have on this side. A little bit of a sparkly colour. It's a little bit long. Turn that round. Oh, I'd love that on my sideboard. So we've got quite a big gap here that needs filling in, so we'll pop around in there with some more of the heavier, the more visual of the eucalyptus. Lovely big heads there. And what do we think of that one? So a horizontal design this time, a little bit more contemporary, a little bit more advanced in its skills and techniques, and a nice quick one to be able to do. Thanks everybody, and see you all again very soon. Bye for now.